Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to watch Married at First Sight. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a couples therapist and a professor, and let's see what comes out of my face as I watch this show.
So I just found out Taylor made an Instagram post where she went and she let all of her followers know that she is a single woman and she's having problems finding the right man. She also went on and she put down her qualifications of what she was looking for in a man.
So we have a question for everyone. Why is it so hard to find a man that's over 6'3", has a job, never been to jail, or, isn't gay? I feel like I have the most minimum requirements to finding a man, and not a soul meets them. So I guess I'll just be single forever and ever.
So there's nothing wrong with getting upset about what's happening in your marriage and getting angry and having those kinds of thoughts, like these kinds of thoughts. Posting it on the internet for everyone to see is interesting, right? Like, imagine if your spouse, and imagine all the fights you've been in with your spouse, and at the height of their anger, they went on the internet and said, I'm single, and this sort of post. That'd be really hurtful. I can't even imagine how I would feel if my wife did something like this. I would be so incredibly hurt. And wow. Wow. Now, like I said, makes total sense that she's upset. And if she went to a friend and said this sort of thing, then sure. This is troubling.
I never. It's fine with me, though.
It's really troubling me, because it's not what I would expect my wife to do. It's not what I would expect any significant other. If I was dating someone and, they made this disgusting video, it doesn't reassure me that I'm married to someone who is committed to our relationship. Like, it feels like I'm alone in this at this point. It really sucks. And I've put a lot of effort into this. I moved into this place. I've moved into this spare room, and I've gone through all these exercises, and I've worked my butt off to show this woman that I really truly care about her. And yet here she is making this video. It just sucks. It really sucks.
Now, maybe in 50 years, everyone will be venting everything that they ever think on the internet. There seems to be a progression in that direction, and I'm not pathologizing it. 10 years ago, for a therapist to have a reaction video on YouTube while watching reality TV, and even to this day, there are a lot of people that look at me and say, like, what's wrong with you? Why do you feel like people care about what your thoughts are? But things change, mores change, cultures change, and we change. But I do think that we should question these kinds of things, and I think we should push back on the cultural changes a little bit, or at least question it. Because I've seen this in a lot of people before, where, and it's very tempting. You're angry, you're upset, you want to go on Facebook, and you just want to share. You just want to vent. You just want to be like, I can't believe, or you're going through a breakup, like you're actually breaking up with someone, and then you do all these posts, and you just want to like blast the other person publicly on the internet. And you'll see posts like this from people. And I don't know the right or wrongness about these posts, but you'll see a post. Everyone kind of knows you're going through a breakup, and you write this long post like, it's time to put ugliness in the past and to shed my dead weight on my life. You use all these kind of metaphors, basically saying, I want to get rid of that deadbeat person that I was involved with in the past. And everyone kind of knows what you're talking about. And you might have friends of yours on Facebook or Instagram that are friends of the person you're breaking up with. It's very clear what you're saying. Like I said, with your friends, with your family, with your therapist, in your journal, absolutely go for it. I'm all about expressing your feelings. But there's something about doing it publicly, especially if you have an Instagram account with a lot of people that aren't really even your friends, as I think she, not your actual friends that she has, especially you're in a marriage, especially while you're on a reality TV show. I feel like as a culture, we need to say, hey, I don't know about that one right there. What about the other person? How is that going to make the other person feel? I think we need to raise awareness about that. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with expressing. You should express your feelings. She should have gone to her friends and her family and been like, I'm so angry, and how come it's so hard to find a good man in this town? Like, get it off your chest. On the internet with thousands of people looking on, I just don't know if that's fair to him.
Taylor posted a video on Instagram. Basically, she's saying she was like single and there's no good men to find. But I have the video if you want to see it.
So, I guess I'll just be single forever. And ever. And ever. It's fine with me, though. Aww.
Definitely interesting. And so, he doesn't really know what to make of it or how to process it.
I want to hear her side of it because I know she went through a lot with Brandon.
All married couples are going to have disagreements. They're all going to fight. But it's critical for couples to learn how to fight fairly and with respect. Attempting to hurt your partner because they hurt you is never the answer.
There's a lot.
So, I'm being a jerk, but I feel like whenever the expert, especially her, when she chimes in, and I might even meet her one day, so I should watch what I say. And if I was on the show, I'm sure I'd be scrambling like, okay, they're going to give me 7.5 seconds to say something. What am I going to say? And after watching the show, I'm going to tell you, people, I'm never going to go on one of these shows. I've been asked to be on some of these shows in the past, and the more I watch how compromised these professionals look, or how compromised they become because of the restraints on them, I'm never going to go on it. I don't care how much they pay me. I'm never going to go on one of these shows. There's just no way to come out looking good. So I have some sympathy for that. But every time she comes on and says something, I think I'm biased, but I think, yeah, no duh. Let's just watch it again.
All married couples are going to have disagreements. They're all going to fight. But it's critical for couples to learn how to fight fairly and with respect. Attempting to hurt your partner because they hurt you is never the answer.
Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. Thanks for that. I need to stop laughing before I start watching this again. Like I said, I have a ton of sympathy for I'm sure she's a professor down the street from me at a school that is highly respected, where I went, University of Washington. So, I'm sure she's extremely intelligent and good at her job. It's just, oh God. Okay. Get it together, Kirk. Get it together.
I have done what I can to try to get us back on track. It looks like it's not working. I'm not in a good place. I'm not happy. So I need to protect myself. I'm not going to stay in this house with her. At this moment, it just feels like we can't bounce back from this and our marriage is over with.
Yikes. That's too bad.
Honestly, I'm not really sure where Brandon and I stand in our relationship. Every single day is different.
And right now,
We're really not talking to each other. It's just unfortunate. Okay. The closet's empty.
now I know why Brandon's not answering my texts, but this is just another time when he's been mad at me and decided not to talk to me about why.
Not talk to you about why? Wouldn't it be obvious to her? She apparently went online and says she's single and
It's like, why can't you just talk to me about it? Why do you have to go to the most irrational place?
If the boy doesn't want to communicate with me, he's gonna derive his own opinion. If you think about the whole process, this is not what I came here for. So it's upsetting that I feel like I put in a lot of effort into something that's not working.
Again, I totally understand that she would be hurt, that she would be concerned, that she'd be angry, that she would want to express that anger, but I'm a bit surprised that she's surprised that he moved out, given what she did.
How we behave on social media can have an enormous impact on any relationship. Making careless comments or unfair implications about your spouse is never okay, but doing it publicly is completely unacceptable. It's emotionally hurtful, and it also has the potential to damage their reputation. It crosses every line in the Successful Marriage Handbook.
Another useful comment.
Hi, Taylor. It's Dr. Viviana.
How are you?
Just wanted to ask you a couple questions about the Instagram story that I just saw. Maybe we can start with...
Where was the marriage and family therapist while they were fighting? Where is the marriage? Now it's over between these two. Or a lot of damage has been done. Ugh.
Actually, I thought that the video was quite funny, so that's what I posted.
I feel like I have the most minimum requirements to finding a man, and not a soul meets them.
Something like posting this story that obviously could have lots of different interpretations because we are all interpreting it very differently than you meant it. Do you understand how it comes across like it is?
Oh, I'm sure. But I mean, honestly, it wasn't meant to be taken as a literal video. And as I told a lot of my friends who were asking me.
But because you and Brandon have been struggling, how does this honor the fact that y'all were supposed to be starting fresh?
Oh, you know what? That's fine. Okay, so I did start fresh with Brandon, and I did give Brandon a very...
So I don't understand the function of the marriage and family therapist in this show. So this is one of the first times that she's actually done anything, and her function is to berate Taylor for something that she did that was bad. I don't understand. She should have been there while they were fighting. She should be bringing them in and having them communicate, not have a marriage and family therapist. This is actually a classic thing that a lot of therapists fall into when they first start out in their career, where Taylor, someone will do something that the therapist will be like, oh, well, that's not going to help. And then the therapist takes on the responsibility of getting into a conflict with the individual rather than helping Brandon and Taylor work it out with themselves. Help them work it out. This is a wonderful opportunity to help them work on their communication, help them understand their own emotions better so that they can communicate those better. Not an opportunity to tell Taylor, you were a bad girl and you need to stop doing that.
Like a very fair second chance. And it just is unfortunate that, he took that second chance and ran with it. He comes in the house, ignores me, he comes in the house, and when he does talk to me, it's not nice. He called me, of all people, high maintenance. And it's just like, I'm done dealing with it. He thinks that he can run away from all problems, and I'm over it. So I'm happy that he's moved out. I can't get past the disrespect that's coming from nowhere.
I'm really hoping that Brandon's going to be able to turn this around and be that partner that he could be to you. And I want you to be able to say, awesome, I'm glad I didn't push you away.
If this was a layperson who was doing this, I'd be like, well, what are you going to do? The person doesn't know what they're... This is a marriage and family therapist. So basically, the marriage and family therapist has done two things so far to help, is to berate Taylor for doing something on social media and then put Taylor on the defensive so that Taylor digs her feet in even more of just like, well, he did this and this and this. That's why I did it. And now she's saying that I have hopes that Brandon's going to turn this around. Why do you care? The marriage and family therapist, we aren't supposed to care. And why would it help for us to care about turning people? We're supposed to help people to communicate better. They can make decisions for themselves as to whether or not they want to be in a relationship or not. It's actually a classic novice marriage and family therapist pit to fall into, which is to get invested in whether or not a couple stays together or not. It's not up to us. It's up to them. It's our job to help them communicate and help them to be more self-aware and do all sorts of other things. But it's not up to us to keep a couple together. That's their choice. So this therapist, so far, her intervention is, Taylor, you're a bad girl. And then 2, Brandon's going to turn this around. That's my hope. And 3, you, Taylor, are going to see how wonderful it is. Let's listen back to this.
To finding a man, and not a soul meets them.
Something like posting this story that obviously could have lots of different interpretations because we are all interpreting it very differently than you meant it. Do you understand how it comes across like it is?
Oh, I'm sure. But I mean, honestly, it wasn't meant to be taken as a literal video. And as I told a lot of my friends who were asking me.
But because you and Brandon have been struggling, how does this honor the fact that y'all were supposed to be starting fresh?
Oh, you know what? That's fine. Okay, so I did start fresh with Brandon, and I did give Brandon a very fair second chance. And it just is unfortunate that, he took that second chance and ran with it.
Right. So from Taylor's perspective, there's this random person calling in and accusing Taylor of doing something that is bad without knowing the context. From Taylor's perspective, she's like, look, woman, you have no idea what I've been through. And so everything you're about to say, I'm going to discount because you're coming in hot on me and you have no idea what I've been through. You haven't taken the time to hear me or to find out, so there's that sort of thing. Now, I will say that I'm guessing the marriage and family therapist, if she were to hear me saying this, and sometimes they do, she would say, look, it's not my job to be a marriage and family therapist. I'm an employee on this TV show. And yeah, if these were my clients, then I'd be treating them differently. That's not my job. My job is to be a consultant and whatever they call themselves. But I would just like to think that if I was in these shoes, this marriage and family therapist shoes, and they told me, okay, I want you to call Taylor right now because of what just happened on social media, and I'm guessing the producers are telling that you got to get these people to try it because we have several more, episodes left. We got to get them back together. I don't know if that's what's happening. I would just like to think myself as a therapist, I would say, okay, I'll play the game, but I'm going to do it my way. I want both of them in the room, and if they don't want to meet, then that's that. But if they're going to meet, I'm going to help them communicate. But I'm not going to just call Taylor up and tell her that she did a bad thing and that she needs to look on the bright side, because that's just not going to help anybody.
I feel like at every point I've supported him and, I've been there for him, and it's just like, it's getting too much. It's like, here I am taking 2 steps forward and you are bringing me 3 steps back.
Because this is the beginning of this process and we have seen people change. Mm-hmm. We've seen them come into their own as husbands and wives.
I see that.
I just don't want you to start behaving in a way that you're not proud of, even if it's just on a funny Instagram story.
Wow. I mean, you see Taylor's face. She's rolling her eyes at this woman. What a great job you're doing, therapist. Just alienating this, this person, making her not respect anything you're saying.
Sure, out of respect for you and the experts, I will refrain from posting such things.
I feel like Dr. Viviana wants me to be sympathetic to the video I posted, but this is just a small video where I mentioned normal things, but it means just like, these are things that I feel, and if that hurt his feelings, okay, but
it wasn't a video about Brandon, and it wasn't a video for Brandon.
And if Brandon feels some type of way about that, that's unfortunate, but, that's something I can't help.
Yikes. Like I've been saying, there's nothing wrong with getting upset. There's nothing wrong with venting your feelings. What am I looking for? I guess what I'm looking for from Taylor is to say something like, yeah, I posted it. I was angry and I was hurt at the time. And it hurt his feelings. And I guess that makes sense. It wasn't really my intention to hurt his feelings, honestly. I meant it to be more tongue in cheek. But yeah, it hurt his feelings. And I get that. And I take responsibility for that. But honestly, I don't really care because he hurt me so bad, it just felt like the relationship was over anyway. And so I that is what it is. Like maybe that is what I'm looking for. But her to claim that the video shouldn't have hurt his feelings and it's on him that it hurts his feelings is, that's interesting. Why would someone do that? Well, when you're hurt, when you feel humiliated, when you feel angry, then it blocks our empathy to other people. It makes us not have the ability to put ourselves in their shoes because we don't want to be in their shoes because we don't like them and we don't like their shoes. We don't want to have empathy for them. Makes total sense. I'm guessing maybe when Taylor is less upset, maybe she'll have more empathy and more, more understanding of why he would be hurt by that. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with Taylor being upset, given what has been happening. Brandon has said and done some things that would hurt anybody's feelings.
We opened a letter from the experts, and I came out with my ring on, my wife T-shirt, and I was coming with every intention on having a positive conversation.
Right.
And apparently, it just didn't go that way. It went negative, and we started to argue on the couch, and it's just because we're not in a good place. So he's not interested in doing any work, pretty much. He's like, oh, I've never had to work hard at a relationship.
Marriages are hard. You've never been married. So.
You've never been married, but if you want to keep it, you better learn today.
Very, very common. So for Taylor, her narrative is that he doesn't want to put in the effort. he doesn't care about me, he doesn't care about the relationship, and, he's just a deadbeat husband. And I hear that narrative a lot from people. It's possible that that's true, that if we went to Brandon and we, really got to the bottom of it, that's the situation. That isn't the way that it typically is. What typically is happening is that they're both triggering each other because they both are hurt and afraid, but they're both acting. What he does is he is very pleasing to her and holds back a lot, withdraws emotionally, and then becomes angry at her. She gets hurt and negative, as he puts it. And so he's putting in a lot of effort, as much effort as she is, but it comes across like he's not putting any effort. But really what he's doing is while they were still kind of in a good place, he was trying to manage the relationship by being very careful around her, and also by trying to manage his own hurt so that he wouldn't fly off the handle. So he's probably putting as much effort into it as she was, but it comes across like that. I see that. That's one of the very first things I'll hear from couples when they sit on my couch is they will say, she doesn't put any effort into the relationship. He doesn't put any effort. It feels that way to you. It just feels like, how come I'm putting in all this effort and the other person just doesn't even seem to care? It almost always feels that way, but it almost always is actually never actually that way. So, again, where's the marriage and family therapist to help with that, other than just telling Taylor that she should stop posting things on Instagram and that Brandon's going to turn things around?
So the video is like, I posted it because I was like, that's funny. It's not like I'm posting like to like sub him or something, or like, I hope he sees this video because it's about him. And honestly, it wasn't about it had nothing to do with him. And like, it had nothing to do with like our like status of our relationship or whatever.
Let's rewind that, because the way she said it, it kind of felt like she kind of knew what she was saying was not very believable.
Like I'm posting like to like sub him or something, or like, I hope he sees this video because it's about him. And honestly, it wasn't about it had nothing to do with him. And like, it had nothing to do with like our like status of our relationship or whatever, because, like, it just had nothing to do with him.
It had nothing to do with him? What did it have to do with?
He had an issue with that video, then, he could have brought it up then and there.
Right.
Or he could have, like, talked to me about it. Now we're at the point where we're not even living in the same place. He just left.
I mean, for me, I just try to think about how I was feeling in the situation, which, like, I don't like to be embarrassed in public as well. I take that very seriously. So I would never do it. And honestly, if Michael posted it, I would be livid.
Oh, I'm just confused about the whole situation because he never said anything about it. But here we are. My husband can't talk to me about it. It's so frustrating. You can't do anything to change that person.
I could see, just by you using the word single, like I could see how he was like, kind of felt some type of way about it.
So she's being very great here. Mika is being very soft, and she's kind of leading up to that, hearing Taylor out and then saying, I don't know, I'm just saying, if I was in Brandon's shoes, it would hurt my feelings if Michael posted that he was single. I don't know, just put it out there. It's a good approach with Taylor.
I understand like her thought process, but honestly, I think Taylor should just straight up say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, and I want to fix it. But the fact that like she doesn't want to is so ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know what his viewpoint is, because Michael didn't really go into detail. But I know for me, it would be the fact that you're like, I'm going to be single forever.
I can understand that.
So you understand why he has a problem with it?
I understood like why he could have a problem with it.
Right. You should definitely apologize.
But I think all of that depends on how Taylor feels about the relationship. Does she want to be married to Brandon? I feel like she doesn't, and she's entitled to that choice. Given how much conflict they've had, the thing is let's just say they didn't get married at first sight. Let's say they just dated at first sight. I think all of us would agree that after what they've been through, it'd be totally fine for Taylor to say something like, you know what, tried dating him, didn't work out, moving on in life. I don't think he's ever going to contact me again because he just moved out. So, we'll just let bygones be bygones, and I'll start dating other people and he'll date other people, and that's fine.
It's been rough for me, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know what's going on, man. It looks like we've kind of gone off the rails at this point, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not happy.
Right.
I moved all my stuff out,
Okay.
and it's as bad as it could get. We probably are worse off than Zach and Mindy.
It's crazy.
That video is a bad look.
Yeah. That's your whole ass husband that you committed to.
She's orchestrating just some drama, some mess for no reason. Like, what is that? What was your motivation behind doing that?
Yeah.
I don't feel confident enough that this woman is 100% committed.
Yeah.
You know, she's also talked to me about other reality shows that she was going to be on.
So very similar to Taylor, for Brandon, his narrative is she's not really invested in this relationship. How interesting that they both feel that way about the other person, because that's what it feels like. My perspective is they were both invested. They were both trying real hard, but because they're unaware of their core emotions, or they're afraid to communicate about that, they were communicating in anger and accusation that triggered the other person to be hurt and afraid, and it caused it to go off the rails, as Brandon puts it.
I'm leaning on the side of I wash my hands, only because she hasn't apologized. She obviously doesn't feel like she's in the wrong here. I feel like I've been played on TV, and it's not fair. This was malicious. This was no way you can take it. It was malicious. You were trying to hurt me, and your message was received.
Yeah, I mean, again, we can't be in Taylor's head either, but it certainly looks that way, and Brandon has every right to be hurt by that for sure. At the very least, at the neglect to think about his feelings to post such a thing. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Can they get divorced midway through the show? All right, well, that does it for that episode in which I watch Married at First Sight and see what comes out of my face in reaction to that. Tune in next time to see what else comes out of my face.